Она была такой всегда. Она выглядит как деньги, у нее глаза. Она выглядит как супер мега звезда.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Josh. Welcome back to a brand new video, another banger video, where if you guys could not guess, today we are going to be ranking every single BMW M car ever produced. Quite literally, any M car that's ever been produced since the 19 whatever the hell till now, we are going to be ranking on a tier list like we did for the last video. Now, if you do not want to listen to this little bit of a yap session I'm about to give right now, then I will put something on the screen right here of where you can skip to get straight into the tier list. Now, if you do want to just listen to me yap a little bit about how the tier list works, how I'm going to be ranking on these things, and just everything like that, then stick along. We finna do that shit. So, starting off, before we even get into it, if you could drop a like and subscribe. Your boy is on the road to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Now, that is a crazy goal, but considering the amount of love you guys showed me for that last video I made over ranking every single car brand, I think we can get there. I had a little bit of complaints, you could say, about the last video on how not how it was edited or anything like that, but just the ratings. So clearly it reached the wrong target audience since it was for comedic purposes, okay? Obviously, I had my own opinion about that, and keep in mind, everything is personal opinion. You can't get mad at someone for having an opinion. It is freedom of speech. It's quite literally the First Amendment. Now, if you live in France, but, you know what I mean? It's an opinion. So before you even get mad or anything like that, this is my opinion. I own a BMW. This is what I think about the cars. I'm going to be ranking it on just how the car is, but then also would I own it and how cool it is, just in my personal opinion. So if something that is extremely rare and one of the bests is lower, it's not because it's a car or if it's not a rare car. It's just based on whether I would drive it. That's how we're going to be ranking it. How I would rather drive these all the way to the top and bottom, and then also taking in the fact of these are good or not. I did want to say before we got into this, thank you so damn much, so damn much about all the love you guys were showing to this video. I mean, quite literally, you guys, this was my best video ever. I think it's at 2.2 thousand views right now, which is absolutely phenomenal, I want to say. I mean, I'm used to averaging maybe 50 to 150 views per video, you know what I mean? And most of them aren't subscribed. So if you guys are not subscribed, like I said, please hit that red button. You will not regret it. But now going into it, those who watched my previous video, these tiers might seem like the exact same. I have made a few tweaks just to kind of capture the whole thing and to kind of make it a little better for this brand. I have also listed the cars in chronological order and by series, starting with 1 and ending with the SUVs. So if you want to skip to a certain part, so to say, of what car you want to see, what car you own, anything like that, just skip through the video till you see on the bottom where they're, you know, and started to go. Hopefully you stick through and listen to the whole tier list, but obviously that's up to you. You can skip to wherever you want to see where your car is at and then my reasoning behind it. But starting from the top, I think it speaks for itself. Sticking something in the muffler. So, would I, this is the top tier, okay? This is meant for a very few cars. It's not just goated, okay? A goated car brand is absolutely goated. It's damn near at the top. But this one, I would quite literally shove something in the muffler. That's how I feel about that car. Next, below that, we have goated. Okay, this is a goated car. It's just something I wouldn't put in the muffler. You know what I mean? Under that, instead of good, we have great now. So I think great captures it a lot better. It's a great car. It's just not goated. I'm not sticking something in it, and it's not mid. So speaking of that, going to the next one, we have mid as hell. It's just mid as hell. You know what I mean? It's obviously all M cars are gonna be amazing, but when we're ranking it to every other counterpart it's had and made, we can put it in mid. Under that, we have wouldn't catch me alive in that shit. Quite literally, I don't know if any of these are going in there because they're all M cars. They're all absolutely phenomenal cars, but there are some you probably wouldn't catch me alive in. And that's my own personal opinion. So before you get heated and start typing in the comments, Josh, why'd you do it? You should just take a minute, breathe, and listening to the reasoning, okay? Like I said, everyone has a personal opinion. And at the bottom, for the kind of catch-all, brother from another mother. So a lot of these are this is just something I downloaded off the internet. So this includes all all the M vehicles and I added a couple, but some of them are like a convertible instead of a different one. You know what I mean? And at that point, I'm not going to rank something here and there. I hate convertibles. I absolutely hate convertibles. Okay. That's just my personal opinion. There are very few I would own, but I'm not going to rank it and say that's a shit car brand just because it's got its roof chopped off. So brother from another mother. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, right before getting into the tier, I do want to say this is all personal opinion. I don't want you to get absolutely heated just because I don't like the car. It is for a comedic purpose, but I am doing this. I did my research. Okay. That was a lot of the comments from the last video. You should not be ranking these. Do some research, yada, yada, yada. Shut the hell up. I did my research. I know BMWs inside and out. I know that shit like the back of my hand. So don't get heated. These are all personal opinions. With that being said, starting off with the BMW 1M, the first ever true BMW M car. It was originally actually intended for Group 4 racing, I believe, but because it didn't meet like specifications and regulations, it ended up just being their first M production car. I also believe it was hand built. It says that it was a mid-engine layout and it was the M88 inline 6 engine, but it's extremely expensive. Not many folks are going to be owning this, and you know why? Because only 453 were made. 453. 100% of you watching this video have never owned one of these and probably never will, just like your boy. But it was their first only like mid-engine supercar, I guess you could say, and it's rare, it's historical, it is absolutely phenomenal. For that reason, and being the first ever BMW M car, it kind of looks like the DeLorean. Low key, it looks like the Mazda, the RX-7 just because of the red and the pop-ups, and then the DeLorean had a child. But the design I don't really like, but it's also from 1978, 1980s. We have to keep that in mind. I think it's going and goated for now. Okay, things can change, but I think it's just going and goated. You know what I mean? It's the first ever M car, and we can't be putting the first car and sticking some in that. Okay, next, ladies and gentlemen. I am doing, like I said, I'm doing all these series in order. We're starting with the first one and we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. So one of BMW's rarest M cars ever produced is up next. The 1M. One of BMW's most rarest cars is up next. The 1M. I believe only 6,000 something units were produced. It's a, what's the chassis called? It's an E82. I believe this is an E82. Correct me if I'm wrong. From, I think, 2011, 2012 era, which is the N54 era. So they slammed an N54 in this Jom, and they called it an M. I think this car is awesome. I think it's a small car. I wouldn't own it. I mean, I would. Okay, it's an M car. It's rare. But it's cool. I think that they put an N54 in. It's awesome. So think about all the aftermarket support with an N54. Also think about the reliability of an N54. Dog shit. I think we're all thinking that word. Dog shit. So while this is an awesome car, it's being compared to the absolute greats, the absolute goats, the ones that I would have sex with. For that reason, I think this is a great car. Okay, I think it's great. I don't think it's mid. I think people underrate the 1 Series just because of how their big brother, the M3 is and all that shit. But I think we don't give the 1 Series enough credit, especially for the fact that only 6,000 were produced, making it rare. I believe it's a manual. I don't know if it came in automatic back in the day, but it's a turbocharged. I think it's twins for N54. So phenomenal car. Think about the aftermarket support. You could be making 800 horsepower on this shit. I don't think there's much more to say. It might move, but right now we don't have much on the list, so it's great. Next, we have the M2. There's an M2 convertible, as you guys see right here, and an M2. I think this is the M2 comp in blue. We have our first brother from another mother. I don't want to rank a convertible when we're ranking the M2. And as you see, there are 2. I love the M2. I think it looks awesome. It's new. I think the M2 was released. Let's look. I did my research, y'all. I'm telling y'all. I have my research right over here. So if you're wondering why the hell you're looking over here, that's the reason. So next up is the F87 BMW M2. Phenomenal car. So it's kind of like a spiritual ancestor of the E46 M3, which is coming up. It's small, agile, and it's mainly really driver focused. It's a small car. You can take it on track. A lot of the BMW enthusiasts and car TikTok people own one. I can't remember your name. If I can find you, I'll put you on right now. He owns an M2. I love it. It's awesome. So from 2016 to 2018, It had the N55, beautiful butter engine, the engine that's in my car outside, sitting outside right now, where I'm gonna be shoving something in the mud. Beautiful car. I love that. 365-ish horsepower, 370 torque, I believe. From 2018 to 2020-ish. The M2 Comp had the S55 engine, which is in the, I think, the new M3s and stuff like that. Quote me if I'm wrong, but that made more horsepower, better tuning capabilities, stuff like that. The N55, while it sounds great, it's not like tuning engine and max power, but I love this car. I love it. Comes in manual, DCT as well. Let's not forget that. It's like a 4-second 0 to 60 in the N55. Great car. Absolutely great car. I love it. I honestly think it's goated. I think the M2 gets a lot of hate, and there's a reason for that. We're going to be going into it. But this model, I love. I think it's goated. I don't think it's better than the first M car. It might move. By looks, I think it's here. But by just pure nostalgia, I think this deserves its spot in goated. Now, going into the other M2, the G87 now, it's from 2022, 2023, I believe, till now, it's okay. It says here that it's a 2 Series platform and it shares a lot of the drivetrain of a G80 M3 or the G82 M4, which is just the coupe version of the M3, basically. Me personally, I don't like this. When this first came out, there was a huge amount of just people thought it looked like shit. And people were right. Now, I've seen one of these in person. It looks better in person, I'm not gonna lie. I think the ass of it looks cool, but it just reminds me of like a little piddly toy car. When you think of it, you think of cute, okay? You don't think of, holy shit, that's a BMW M car. It looks aggressive as hell. I wanna drive that. You just think it looks like a kind of toy car. For that reason, I think it obviously is probably better performance-wise, but I really just don't like it. I honestly, like, out of all these M cars we have here, you just would not catch me alive in that shit. While it's a great car and it's an M car, and obviously I would drive it, comedic purpose and for the reason of these tiers, if I named this a D tier, y'all wouldn't get pissed, but since me saying wouldn't catch me alive in that shit, you might get mad. So it's just the tier names. Keep that in mind, okay? Also, if you notice this chocolate milk here and a little bit of milk mustache, it's because I took my homie to the gas station and he bought me some chocolate milk. So I'm gonna move it over here so you're not looking at some chocolate milk getting thirsty on the way. But that's the reason if you were wondering why there was a big ass thing of chocolate milk behind me. Going into the next one, maybe, just maybe our first top tier, goated, absolutely phenomenal 3 Series. The first 3 Series, the BMW E30. They made these from 1986 to 1991, I believe. It was the first M3 ever built. It was actually made for a special for DTM racing. Very high revving engine, S14, quote me if I'm wrong. Only an inline 4, but I mean, think of it. It was back in the day, you know what I mean? Awesome car. Absolutely awesome car. Probably one of BMW's most loved cars and one of mine. I seen one of these in person at my local BMW dealership. Let me tell you, I about started opening that door and just... So for that reason, I am sticking something in the muffler. Goated car. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't think there's like nostalgia, just everything. You've seen some crazy ass builds. If I can find one, I'll put it on the screen here. But I love these cars. These are phenomenal when you do them right. They're awesome. Next, we kind of have its big brother, little brother, whatever you want to call it, the BMW M3 E36. Also another phenomenal car. I've seen another one of these in person. I was in Gatlinburg last year. Not for Slammed Enough, but luckily enough, we are going in Nashville. So if you guys stay tuned for the summer, I will be posting hella videos. I'm planning for doing maybe 4 or 5 videos in Nashville. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for that. But yeah, I've seen one of these in person. Looks awesome when you build it. I really like the kind of the boxy wing on this as well. Awesome track car as well. They just kind of refined the E30. So it has a 6-cylinder, so it's the S50 in Europe and then S52 in US. It's a great daily, inline 6, great chassis. The only cons is that it's heavier than E30, obviously. I mean, I don't know why, but BMW just decides, yeah, fam, let's make this shit heavy as hell. It kind of marked the transition from the M3 being like a really hardcore racer car to being more of like an accessible performance car. Awesome car though. Absolutely phenomenal. This could be, I don't know. I mean, when we're thinking of cars, the E46 is awesome, but I don't personally know where I would put it. I'm not gonna lie, I did another look. I think this is a goated car. It's gonna be really hard to not put some of these up here. I think this for now is in goated. You're gonna be seeing a lot of BMWs up in here. It's just so hard. I love all the M cars. There's very few M cars that I just dislike, that I really don't like. It's gonna be hard, but we're gonna try to be very strict. We're gonna be brutal. So what's up next? Ooh, okay. So we've got the E46. Okay, so obviously the predecessor of the E36. They made these from the early 2000s to 2006. So they made this. This was the M3 when I was born. Your boy was born in 2004. So for those who are saying I'm in high school right now, go yourself. Okay. I saw those comments. But it had the S54 engine. It's a 3.2 liter inline six. Absolutely phenomenal balance. People use this for drifting. I believe Adam LZ had one of these cars for drifting. They're awesome for track cars. Amazing. But apparently, weakness-wise, the transmission was a little clunky. It had rod bearing issues, and it just wasn't amazing, I would say. But it is one of the most loved M3s. They also had one of these in the BMW dealership that I was at. Phenomenal car. It's so hard not to put all these 3 Series in goated. Like, it genuinely is. For now, I honestly think it's better than the E36. I think the E46 is a phenomenal car. Phenomenal. What's next? I think, is that the E? It's just, yeah, brother from another mother. It's quite literally just a yellow version of that. I think it might not even be the M version. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong and I'm being dumb, but doesn't that shit look like the exact same? Tell me if I'm wrong. Going into the next, we've got the E90 M3, okay? So the E90, E92, E93, they're all, I kind of want to group them in one, but they are a little bit different. I think the E92s and the E93s were the absolute phenomenal sweet point. The E90, not a huge fan. Not a huge fan, I'm not gonna lie. Now, while it is the only V8 powered M3, awesome. S65 engine, 4-liter V8. I'm sure we've all heard the clips of the put the clip in now, Josh. 8,400 RPM, aggressive, great balance, sedan, coupe, and convertible. So I think that's maybe the differences between the E90, E92, E93. Tell me if I'm wrong. It was heavier than the other M3s. The V8 did have reliability issues. Think of the rod bearings. Everyone talks about the rod bearings. Oh, if you're gonna buy it, get the rod bearings done. The rod bearings, the rod bearings. We get it, okay? It was a terrible spot. But the last V8 and only V8 of the last NA, like natural aspirated M3, the sound is phenomenal. I think what I'm going to do is put the E90, I think this is an E90, tell me if I'm wrong, in here, and I'm going to put the E93 and sticking something in the muffler, okay? Phenomenal. This is my dream car. This is one of my dream cars. Phenomenal. I think TJ Hunt had one of these. I think Adam LZ had one of these. Tell me if I'm wrong, but phenomenal car. Grew up watching it. Absolutely love it. I don't think there's much more to say. It's honestly, it's really hard to be strict and give really tough ratings on the 3 Series, because almost every single 3 Series has been absolutely phenomenal. Like, it's really hard. Going into the F80, I love the F80. Like, growing up, I say growing up, when I was like 16 it was out, but the F80 is phenomenal. I love it. I honestly think, I mean, I'll give you a little backstory, but I think it's going here. And then the one next to it, I think this is just the CS versus the regular. We'll just take the best one and just say it's a brother from another mother, because I mean, it looks like the exact same car, and I can tell there are 2 doors on this, so it's not an M4. And we've got another one coming up. So yeah, it's going right there, and brother from another mother. Reason for that, it introduced turbocharging for the first time in the M3s. It was a twin turbo 3-liter S55 engine. Huge performance leap. It's like 430 horsepower, something like that. Looks awesome. Amazing aftermarket support. I've seen hella of these in person. I love them. This is a dream car. I know a lot of these are dream cars. Honestly, I love the F80. It would be very difficult for me to pick between these two. I know the V8's awesome, but the F80 is phenomenal. The only weakness is I think the crank hub in these, I don't know if that's the M4s, but I think the crank hub in these are bad. I think that's the only thing with the S55s really, other than being able to absolutely burn your tires up. But yeah, I think it's awesome. People didn't really like the transition because they had a naturally aspirated V8 and then they went to a turbocharged inline six. But I mean, when you make a car like that, how can you get mad, right? And then yeah, like I said, that shit's going there. And then going into the last of it, the G80 M3, okay? Another phenomenal car. Have you seen these cars? They're running sub 8 seconds on a track. Now, obviously, they've got the fattest Garrett turbo. They have only one headlight. I wonder why. They're awesome, but it's the most powerful M3 yet. The pinnacle of engineering, motorsports, drivability, just everything amazing. S58, they had an all-wheel drive option, amazing for track and just, or not really track, but for like drag racing and just everything in general. Now, obviously the car's not meant for drag racing, but if you want it all season around, especially when it snows. So if you live in Canada, Alaska, Indiana, you're gonna need some all-wheel drive to make it up your drive. I think the G80 is amazing and it's grown on me. A lot of people, this was the car that introduced the grills. So if you guys saw those memes around where it's like BMW in 2010, 2012, 2040, and it's just like a whole grill. This was the car that introduced it, and a lot of people hated it. And then when the CSL or the CS came out, people were like, yeah, I might on that. You know why? Because it looks phenomenal. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm sticking some in the muffler. I've seen these cars, I've seen this, and I've seen an M4 in person. Phenomenal, okay? Phenomenal. All of these cars are awesome. It's really hard. I think for now, I might put that in. It's like, dude, all of these are 3 Series, dude. I love the 3 Series. It's my favorite car. But I don't know if I need to be more harsh. I don't know, dude. I'm leaving it here for now, but depending on where everything else goes, I might change it. Next up is this looks like an M4. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't the start of the M4s. But these two are the same other than this being the CSL or something, so like the track one. The M4s were only the F82 and the F83. It was basically when BMW was like, y'all absolutely love the 3 Series. Let's just make it a coupe and call it an M4. That's basically what they did. So for that reason, this is brother from another mother, because we're going to just be rating it on the only M4, or sorry, the one of 2 M4s, the F82. This car is goated. I think it's goated. I mean, I think it's just the coupe version of the 3 Series, and I'd rather own a 3 Series just off of drivability and everything, but it's phenomenal. So it was the first ever M4. Okay, so the M4s aren't even that old, guys. Turbocharged inline 6, the S55. It's not the same as the V8 from the E92. A lot more torque than the last 3 Series. So it's got 550 versus 400. A lot lighter than the older M3. It's kind of like an upgrade from an M3, but a coupe version. So it makes you feel a little bit more sporty, and you know what I mean? You can get some hose in that bit. But some weaknesses, like I said with the S55, crank hub failures. It lost kind of like the magic sauce with the high revving V8. But they kind of fixed all the problems in the later versions, especially in the G80s. So this is the GTS. Sorry, this is the GTS. I think this is goated. I think I'm putting it here for now. I'm leaving this as the first M car only because it's that. It might go down, but nostalgia right now, I just feel bad if BMW made their first M car and I'm like, you know what? You're not catching me alive in that shit. It's awesome. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Going into the next one, let's see what's next. Oh, the G82. I think this is the G82. Yeah, G82. What am I talking about? But this is the CS version. So it's like, or the competition, you know what I mean? So it's just awesome. It's got the really cool grill that we were talking about that people used to hate and now they love. I think this is great, but I think, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna move the G80 and I don't know. This is so difficult. Like I don't feel bad ranking some of these old like 5 Series down and wouldn't catch me alive in it, because like it feels like Gramps would drive that shit. It doesn't have the same nostalgia as like the 1M or the M1, sorry. So like, but these are just goated cars. Let's do it off of what I would drive. What I think I might do is, I think I'm doing this. I'm going to be a bit more harsh and say this is goated, and then I'm going to put this here. I think the F82 looks cooler, but just for the fact of how sweet the G82 is, I would honestly take a M4 over the M3 just because of like the competition version of it, how sweet that shit looks. The yellow DRLs, phenomenal. And I've really seen the M4 in person a lot more than the M3, and I kind of know a bit more about it. So for that reason, I'm putting it there. If you hate me, I'm sorry, but that's just kind of how I feel right now. It's really difficult with how good these are, and I have to be harsh. I mean, we can't have everything at the top tier. I guess the only weakness with this one is that there was no manual option, and it's awesome for speed, but people prefer rear-wheel drive as well, and I think this was all-wheel drive. I think there are all-wheel drive versions as well, or sorry, rear-wheel drive. I'm not entirely sure just because I haven't done a whole lot of research into that since it's a little bit out of my budget. But yeah, it's awesome, but I gotta be harsh. So for now, it's going there. Next, I think this is an E28. These two look damn near the same. I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but these two with the circle headlights look the damn same. Just because of this other picture, I'm putting this one on somewhere. I honestly just think, I don't know, it's the first M5, but it wasn't even an M5. It was an M535 or some shit like that. So it wasn't even really considered a single letter. All you M driving dickheads who are like, dude, if you don't have one number in your BMW name, you ain't driving a BMW. Yeah, shut the hell up. We can own a 535, okay, and feel like we're driving an M5. But I don't think this looks great. I mean, it was the first M5. It had the same engine as the M1, so let's keep that in mind. It had the exact same engine as that, but just like in a sedan body. It was one of the fastest sedans of the time. So if we're thinking of that era in 1985 to 1988, I believe, it was cool, but it's now very expensive. It's kind of like a collectible, and it was kind of like the beginning of the super sedan idea. So it started a lot, and it's got a lot of nostalgia and history behind it. But just if we're ranking it off of all these other cars, obviously with technology and advancements, it gets better. I think for that reason, we're gonna have to put this in mid as hell just because of how it looks. It looks a little dookie. You know what I mean? I'm not a huge fan of older cars. I mean, like the E30, timeless. The E36, timeless, okay? The E46. The E36 is kind of timeless. It looks cool. I think the E46 is even better, like timeless wise. And the E92, I mean, it's not very old, but timeless as well. I think that car will just age butter. I don't think this one aged as well as some of these other ones. Speaking of, the M1 is not aging very well. It kind of looks a bit like the DeLorean. I just can't stop thinking it looks like a DeLorean, but for the nostalgia, I'm putting it there just so y'all get mad at me. Going to the next one. I believe this is the E34. Also kind of looks a little weird. It's just kind of a better version of the first M5. It's got a, what it's got? 3.6 liter, later turned to a 3.8 liter inline six. Apparently it's hand assembled. Awesome chassis balance. Really cool interior. If I can find an interior picture, I'll put it in. It was underappreciated, and then it was really compared to the E28. It was the last hand-built M5, and then apparently the wagon version of this is extremely rare. I'm still not a big fan of the rarity. I think it's mid. I mean, you guys can get mad and say, oh, you just like the newer cars. No shit I do. They're awesome. So don't get mad at me. You know what I mean? Next is the E39. Yeah, it looks like the E36 and E42 had a child, and then spat it out in a sedan. And that might be their idea with it. I mean, if we're looking at it, we're looking at this car right here, okay? And then we're also looking at this car. And it really does look like these two just had a child and spat something out. Yeah, the E30 and the E36, sorry, just spat a child out. It's cool. I mean, it looks okay, but if I'm gonna be honest, I think I'd rather own these two over the actual M5s. It's got, sorry, apparently it is regarded as one of the greatest sports sedans ever. So apparently I'm just looking at it and thinking it looks like shit, but it's got a 4.9 liter naturally aspirated V8, amazing balance, amazing chassis, one of their best V8s apparently. I don't believe that shit because they put a V8 in the E92 and that's considered the best, so maybe that's why they're saying it's one of the best. But apparently it's got aging electronics that had Vanos issues, shout out Vanos, and the prices have been skyrocketing. I don't know, y'all get mad at me. I don't know a whole lot about these, plus I've never seen one of these in person, so I couldn't tell you. Plus I love all the other M5s, so I can't really, if we're ranking at that, I'm gonna put this at the top. I know I was just talking shit, but apparently my research is telling me otherwise, so putting it there. Next, we have one of my dream cars. Absolutely phenomenal. Probably one of the best M5s ever made. I've seen one of these in person. I have heard one of these in person. I have jerked off to one of these in person. E60 M5 F1 inspired V10 engine, the S85. My favorite BMW engine ever made. It is amazing, okay? The transmission might not be great, but it's a 5 liter V10. What? Have you ever seen that tunnel clip of the M5? Butter. But apparently the transmission's dog shit. My grandpa used to own one, got rid of it because it cost him too much. That might be a reason, but I don't really give a shit because this car's phenomenal. I'm sticking some in the If this car had any other engine, if this had an inline 6 turbo, a V8, it would be damn near at the bottom. But for the reason that it's got a V10 that sounds so damn good, it's going up there. And I don't give a shit what you guys say in the comments. No given. That shit's amazing. Next is just the wagon version, brother from another mother. I think this is maybe the worst looking one. I really don't like wagons. There's very few wagons I like. That looks like shit. That looks like I would take my children to Aldi's and pick up some groceries. Not happening. I'm just not a big fan. Next, we have my car. I mean, I wish my car. An F10. One of my favorite. I think this will age very well as well, I guess, if that works. This is an amazing car. Like, absolutely phenomenal car. It's a V8, but it's got huge reliability issues. Huge. It was the first turbocharged M5, had a 4.4 liter twin turbo. It was available with a manual in the US only, apparently. But it's a lot heavier, and it wasn't as, I guess, great on the track. It was more considered like, okay, we know our target audience and who's buying these. Let's make it powerful enough to have fun, but not amazing around the track and lightweight. I think because I can't do this bias, I love this. I'm putting it here for now. I love the F10. Like, I don't really care. I love the F10. And then next up, we have another butter car, the F90, which is going right there for now. I love the F90. The F90 is probably one of the best BMW cars ever produced. They put a damn sedan against Huracans, like Lamborghini Huracans, Aventadors, McLarens, and that shit blows them out of the water, okay? Stock, it's making like 6-7 horsepower, like 6-7 to 100 horsepower. Phenomenal. If you upgrade it, 1,000 horsepower easily. Butter car, absolutely phenomenal. Yellow DLRLs. If you get mad at me for putting it over the E92, I get it. V8, all yada yada yada. I don't give two shits. That car is phenomenal. This is my dream car. This is genuinely like my dream BMW. So if y'all ever get me rich, best better believe that's what I'm buying. And then the E92 with it. I'm getting a package deal. Next, we have the M6, specifically the M635 CSI, I think it's called. It's an E24. It really kind of looks, I don't know, man. It looks like the E30. Like, it looks like the E30 face, but like really long. It's cool, but it was like the first M6, but it was a 635 in Europe, sorry, but M6 in the US. Has an M88 engine from the M1 as well. So, goated car, supposedly meant for motorsports. I don't know if it's amazing. It's cool, but would I drive it? You wouldn't catch me alive in that shit. I think this is worse. I think just because of what they did with how it looked. Like, I don't know how it's like your ex-girlfriend versus your new girlfriend, okay? You had this shit, and then you're stuck with this now. You know what I mean? That's the same shit. Or vice versa. You had this, and then now you get that shit. With this, I just don't think it's amazing. And these next ones, the M6 kind of, let's see what they did. Yeah, so I'm looking at my notes, and this is just the convertible version of this, which is the E63. So they made this from 05 to 2010, and it was basically the second generation of it. So they hadn't made these forever, and then they're like, you know what? Let's make some money and bring that shit back. I only like the M6 in the M6 GTR. I drive that shit on Gran Turismo. That's my main car. I drive it on Assetto Corsa. I'm buttering it. I'm absolutely phenomenal. Check my racing videos out. But as an actual car, I just think when you're comparing it to all of these, you wouldn't catch me alive in that shit when I have the option of driving all these other ones. You know what I mean? And then same with the convertible. This convertible is the F06, F06, F12, F13, whatever you want to call it. I think it's just the different versions of like Grand Coupe, sedan, convertible, whatever. Brother from another mother as well. The rankings don't really matter. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just, they're basically the same exact cars as the ones above. They're just a convertible. They're like a money grab from BMW. This one, I think they did a lot better. I think it looks a lot more sportier. I've seen an Alpina or Alpine version of these in person in a parking garage. I was freaking the hell out. I took a video of it. It looked cool. It's a lot better in person, but I think it's just mid. I'll put it at the top of mid. I mean, when you can own an M3, any of these really, I mean, need I say any more? Why would you pick the M6, the heavy ass one? It had the same engine as the F10, so the S63, I think it's called. It's okay. You know what I mean? A lot of power, 600 horsepower, but kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just mid. And then this is the convertible version, no reason. And then, sorry, this is the newest version of the M6 here. I think I'm just going to rank the M6 as 1 and 2. So let's put this in a catch-all and then put this at the top of mid. I think that will do it. I think that's good. If I'm dumb, I'll take a look at this and revise stuff and make sure I'd give a final list in my reasonings, but for now it's going there. Next, we have the M8, okay? It was the one and only M8. I love the M8s. They're cool. I've seen one at a car meet, but I think from factory, it's really like an old man's like very fast luxury car. I don't think a man goes out to buy an M car and thinks, let me buy the heaviest one, the biggest one, and that's the one I want. I think this is the F91, 2, and 3. I think those are like the different model versions of this. They made it from 2019 till now. They kind of looked at the M6 and said, how can we make this shit bigger and a bit cooler? I love the M8, and they got rid of the M6s, okay? This was the last M6 they've ever made. I don't think they're ever going to make another one, and they kind of switched it to the M8. While this is an awesome car, it's all-wheel drive. It's fast as shit. The competition models have like 620 horsepower, amazing luxurious interior. Let's not forget that. It's a goated awesome car, but I don't have much in great, so I think it's going there. I think it's better. I think I'd rather own an, you know what, just purely off of like, would I drive the car? This would be a collector's item, okay? I would own this. This is an awesome car. It's the first thing that started it all, but I don't want to put the bias of the fact that it's the first car ever, which is kind of shit. They only made 400. It's a collector's item. All of them are collecting dust or broken down, or you know what I mean, classic BMW shit. I think I'm gonna just put this in great because I'd own these, and this is also just as rare. I mean, not just as rare. There's 6,000 versus 500, but you know what I mean. I'm putting this here, and that means that the M3 is at the top of goated, and then we've got all of these. Keep in mind, this one up here is only because I own it. I'm allowed to put some bias. I love the F10. It's one of my favorite M5s. I don't care about the reliability. I would quite literally engine swap this with the E60, and this would be a perfect car. V10 engine in the F10. I don't know why I didn't think of it. Like, I mean, I get it, it's heavy and it's expensive, but who gives a shit? It's an M car. Put it in there. But it's awesome. It's the fastest. It's a coupe, by the way. The M8's a coupe. It's the fastest ever BMW ever. Coupe ever, sorry. The M5 CS is quicker, but this almost held the title for a little while, I think. But it's kind of, people think of it like a high-speed cruise, not really a real M. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is kind of like a luxury M. When you're looking to buy M, when you think of BMW M, you're thinking of performance, you're thinking of track car, you're thinking of phenomenal driving. While this probably still gives it, I asked them to rev this car. There's a rev limiter on it. There is a rev limiter on an M car. It was like, ugh. My car's louder. Okay, I get there's a muffler delete, but I don't give a shit. This car, it's going at the top of great. And ladies and gentlemen, that marks the end of all these sedans other than the Z series at the bottom you can see there. So if you're tuning off right now, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I am still going to be going with the sedans. I'm not a huge amount of like research with the sedans. I did some research, so I have some talking points, but I don't know a whole lot other than the fact that these are Trackhawk killers. But you know what I mean? Going to make sure to subscribe. Starting off, I think this is the start of the X3M. I think this is the start of it. I think this is, yeah, I don't think there's much more to say other than it's the X3M. When I could buy an X5M or an X4M or any of these or X6M, he just wouldn't catch me alive in that shit, to be honest. I think it's better than these. I mean, I think the M6 is cool. I think I'd rather drive the older one than the new one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna kind of move this. I'm kind of mean on this M2. It's a little better than I think, so I'm putting it there for now. Then this is the newer version. Forgive me, I just don't know the model names of any of these like X3s or X4s, I think they are. This is better for sure. I think this is a great car. I think this is going here. I mean, think about it. Family sedan, packing 600 horsepower, phenomenal driving. These cars are quick as shit. They're underrated, but they're also expensive as hell. All of these cars are out of my price point, other than maybe an E60, but still. Going into the first X5M ever produced. I think it's one of their first ever like SUV M's produced. It was from 2009 to 2013. It was in their response to Porsche's Cayenne Turbo. So obviously a competitor to BMW. They're like, you know what? We going band for band and we making one. So that's what they did. 4.4 liter twin turbo V8 S63, 555 horsepower, 680 Newton meters of torque. That's 502 if you're speaking in freedom units. 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, which is pretty quick for its size. I'm not gonna lie. It had adaptive suspension, which helped with handling despite its weight, but it's heavy as shit. 5,400 pounds, okay? I think that might be lighter than the new M5 still. And then they had reliability issues. So the early engines, they had cooling and turbo seals that went bad. I think this is a cool car, but I'd rather own these new ones. I think for that reason, it's going like here. I think there's good because this. We're going there. Next, we have the X5M, the F85. So from 2015 to 2018, only a short 4-year span. It was a lot more refined. They fixed kind of more of the issues and had the upgraded S63 engine. So still the 4.4 liter twin turbo. This one made 567 horsepower and 750 newton meters of torque, or 553 in freedom units. And we all know they underrate their engines from factory. It's awesome. 8-speed automatic, aggressive, quad exhaust, but it's really heavy, but big improvements, big ups to the Mandem. I would say this is going at the top of mid as hell. Y'all hate M SUVs. I think they're awesome. You know what I mean? They got to make money somehow, and they got to bring in SUVs and compete with competitors, and they're making them awesome. They're fast as shit. I would own an X5 like any day. And then going into that, the F95, which is from 2020 till now, it's the latest gen, so it's still the S63, yada yada yada. 600 horsepower now and 553 pound-feet of torque in freedom units and 750 newton meters. 3.7 0 to 60. That's quicker than almost every single person who's watching their car. Modern tech has BMW's iDrive 7 system, but also heavy as shit, and steering apparently lacks to the other older M cars. So I would say for that reason, I'd rather drive the older one, even though this is quicker. I'm gonna put this at like the bottom of mid as hell. I think this could go, you know what, boys? We're changing this and we're going this. And we're doing this. I think that's good. We're going to take a look at the end, and then I'm going to revise the list, so don't get heated and say, Josh, why is this shit here? Just wait. Be patient, okay? Next is the first X6M, the E71 from 2009 to 2014. First M-badged coupe SUV. As you see, there's only, excuse me, there is 4 doors, so that's the wrong picture, but that's what we're going off of. S63 as well, 555 horsepower, blah, 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 blah. I just think the X5's better. Wouldn't catch me alive in that shit. I'm not going to lie. I know it's bigger, it's got different chairs or whatever the hell, but going there. Then think this is just the F86 now. It might be like the Grand Touring version or whatever they do, but same engine, same shit. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm just putting it there again. And then now to the Hellcat killer, the X5M, and then this is phenomenal. This is honestly great. I love this car. This car's awesome. Anybody who's hating on me saying the F96 is like shit, I don't give two shits. Whatever the hell you want to say. It's the same engine, 600 horsepower, 750 newton meters of torque, 553 pound-feet of torque, freedom units, I mean. One of the fastest SUVs in the world. This competes with the Trackhawk. When you tune that shit, it's out of the water. I've seen these cars absolutely smoke. I mean smoke. Probably almost every car on this list, this car would smoke. And you guys call it shit. I don't know why, but it's awesome. But it is just a more expensive X5M. For you know what I mean, a little bit more space. So it's great, it's awesome, and I think I'm being a little rude to these cars, so I think I'm gonna do that. While this has nostalgia, and yeah, some people will be like, Josh, this is the first M car, blah 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 blah. I don't care. And then for the Z series, some of you guys love these. I've never really gotten into them, so for that reason, I'm just putting them down here. Not a huge fan of them. They might be cool, they might be cool driving, and I think those are the ones that the doors go down. I think I saw a Top Gear episode on that. I think that's really cool, but I mean, when you have all these other M cars, you gotta be harsh, because almost every single one of these could debatably like be argued to be at the top, you know what I mean? Almost any of these. So while this is a very hard list to make, you have to be harsh, you know what I mean? When you're comparing greats to greats, you know what I mean? It's like saying like Lance Stroll is an absolutely shit driver. Now, while he might be an absolutely shit driver, he's also an F1. Yeah, his daddy's got money, but Blood's won a few races in F2, I think, and F3, and that takes skill, you know what I mean? While he is among the greats, he's not one of the greats, but some could argue, bro made it to F1, he's better than most. Indeed, you know what I mean? Just like these cars. All these cars are phenomenal, but you got to be harsh and you got to be rude some places and speak for their mistakes that BMW made, which they've made a lot. N54. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go through this list, see if I make any changes. I will let you know of those changes, and then we'll go a little small detailed run through these, why I'm thinking this, and then we're going to finish the video off. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have finished the list. As you guys can tell, I am a huge fan of BMW. So, while this list was very hard for me to make, so to say, because you're comparing greats to greats. I've yapped, I've said this shit a million times over, but it's hard. I mean, it's quite literally hard. You're comparing all the top tier, amazing, like pinnacle of engineering BMWs compared to all the others. So obviously they're all going to get better with time because they're like, ooh, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. So this was all personal opinion. This was very hard for me to make, but I did try to do a lot more research, give some facts about it. So if you guys didn't know about them, then you can base your opinion off of those. So unlike the previous video where I was, yeah, that's ass. You know what I mean? So this is the revised list. I will show you guys right here. So at the top, we have the M5 CS, absolutely phenomenal car. Hellcat killer. I mean, obviously Huracan killer, Aventador killer, McLaren killer. Need I say anymore? Butter. E92 M3, phenomenal. V8, last V8, I think the only V8 or NA V8 they did for the M3. E60 V10, phenomenal car. This could go higher, I'm not gonna lie, just because I love the V10. It was inspired by F1. You've got the F80 M3, phenomenal car. This is the CS or C version, whatever you want to call it. I love this. You've also got the E30. Now the thing is, I didn't get into BMW until I would say I was about 12, 13 years old, so that would have been around this era, you know what I mean? Not this era. Now, while I can still love all the older cars and think they're phenomenal, I just didn't get into BMW at that time. Plus, I've never driven one of these. I know these are awesome for the track and just everything in general. I know it's amazing, and I would stick some in the next, we've got my car, or I guess the better version of my car, the F10 M5. Not many people are fans of these, but I don't care because this is my car. I love the car. I love how it looks. I think this will be a timeless design. You'll look at this car in 20 years and think, damn, that shit still looks good. Next at Goated, I had to be harsh with this. These all could be debatably up here, other than maybe the M2, but you got to have some tiers for other ones to go. These are all better than these in my opinion, so that's why it's in the lower tier. Got the G80 M3 and then the G82 M4. These could be flip-flopped, but they're damn near the same other than coupe versus four-door. Both phenomenal cars. Got the F82 M4, also another phenomenal car. You've got the E46 M3. I've seen this in person. It's awesome. It's got a S54 3.2 liter inline six. Then you've got the M2 Comp. I really like these. People hated them. I like these. And I think this is deserving to go in Goated because of what they did with the G87. I think it's the G87 versus the F87. I don't know what they were thinking making that weird looking toy car. But that's why this is going up here. It deserves the love and the hate that it was getting to go at the top because of its younger brother, I guess you could say. Next, you got the E36. I moved this down a little bit just because obviously the E30 is goated, but then with the E36, I know it's awesome and a lot of people like slamming them or like doing like drifting or driving with them. I've never driven the car, but I think this is still a phenomenal BMW car. It's just I gotta be harsh. I don't know if it's a goated one. You know what I mean? We've got the, I think this is the X6M here. Phenomenal. Hellcat killer. Trackhawk killer. I love this car. Family sedan to go get your groceries, but absolutely smoke anybody on the road. M8. I love the M8. M8's cool, but not really a fully M car. You know what I mean? I mean, it is an M car, obviously, but they brought the M8 to get rid of the M6, and it's more of a luxury than a M car, I really think. Next, you got the 1M. Very rare, only like 6,000 were made. Really, really rare. Expensive, really cool, N52 in it. Pretty butter. Then this is just another X series. I can't remember the name. It's a great car, though. This is the X5, the older X5, sorry. Great car, but you know what? Just because I didn't remember the name, I can't put it in great. It's going at the top of mid as hell. You gotta be harsh here, boys. You really gotta be harsh. And then this is the first ever BMW car ever made. Yes, nostalgia. You could argue that it should be at the top. Josh, this is the reason why there's M's. There's also only 400 in the world, okay? I very highly doubt, unless you've been to the BMW museum in Germany, that you've ever seen one of these on the road, and that's because there isn't. So you can't really rank all these M cars compared to like if you're ranking it on performance and stuff. It's just whether I would drive it, own it, if I think it's cool. I think while nostalgia brings it up, it's, you know what I mean? It looks like a DeLorean low key. So it's going there. Mid could be a different name, but it's the tier names. Got the X5, I believe this is, or the X4, whatever it is. It's cool, it's fast, but it's going there. It's mid. It's an SUV. They only made it to compete with Porsche. The M6, not a huge fan unless it's the GTR like racing version. Just not a big fan. I saw an Alpino version, cool, but not a big fan of X6s, or sorry, M6s. Then you've got the X5M, another one, or an X3, whatever it is there. You know what? Just because these are sedans, these are going up above these. So we're changing that right now. So these are going up here. These are all the older 5 Series. I just don't know a whole lot about them. I know they're phenomenal, but I just don't think they look as good as obviously the newer ones. Some of you guys might think they look better because you like older cars, but for me, not my type of, you know what I mean, type of car. So where was I? Just all the SUVs. I mean, I think they're really cool and they're awesome cars, and obviously I'd own one, but when you compare it to the greats, they're mid. And then would not catch me alive in that shit. Obviously you would catch me alive in a BMW M regardless of what it is, because holy shit, I'm driving an M car. But when you compare it to these, like I said, it's hard. You know what I mean? So you've got the X6. I really think that looks weird, funky, weird. Just nah. You've got the, I think this is like the GT version of it. Also just nah. It's kind of, I'd rather own an X5. And then this is the only time the X6 was awesome. Then you've got the first M6. Now I'm putting it above these, to be honest. I think this is better, but it looks like the E30 that just went and you cropped it a little weird. For that reason, let's go in there. Next, you've got the piddly little toy car M2, the one they absolutely ruined. The M2 was phenomenal, and then they went and did this. Now, people like this car. It still drives great, has an awesome engine, but it just, the looks never grew on me, and for a real M car, it's just, can't, you know what I mean? I just can't. First ever M6, can't remember the model, like actual like F whatever, you know what I mean? But it's there. I just don't think it looks great. Not a big fan of M6s. Then you've got the X3, need I say any more? And then all the Z versions as well. I'm just not a big fan of Z. I think the doors going down were cool, but just, I don't really like them. You know what I mean? I'd own all of these other ones over it, obviously, since it's at the bottom. And then the brother from another mother, if you guys didn't listen to when I was saying it, it's just literally these cars, but just different, like very small tweaks. Not enough for it to be considered its own car, hence brother from another mother. A lot of these you can see are convertible versions, so I'm not going to be ranking that shit. But yeah, take a look at this, take a screenshot, go through it, let me know what I'm wrong about. Obviously, I can be wrong about some stuff, so be respectful. Let me know in the comments. Don't call me a dumbass, you know what I mean, or some shit. But that's my ranking. Now, if you don't agree with it, that's completely fine. You know what I mean? Completely fine. That's why we all have opinions. That's just my opinion on the M cars. I would love to hear yours, so please drop a comment down below. Drop a like if you liked the video. Make sure to subscribe. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Your boy wants to hit it. That's why we're doing these tier lists. You guys showed phenomenal love to the last one. Hence why we're making a BMW one, because I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about BMWs rather than Toyotas or Lexuses or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it's been your boy Josh. Thanks for tuning in, and peace.
Feel like I